Good morning, everybody. This is Tomás from the BDVe project. So welcome on behalf of this project to this webinar. First of all, I hope that all of you are doing well in these difficult times. So this webinar, as you know, is part of a series where we are inviting speakers from different organizations, innovation projects, etc., to talk about their experience working with big data, AI, and related topics. By the way, I take this opportunity to invite you, any of you, to contact me at any time in case you believe you have a topic of interest and would like to speak in one of our upcoming webinars. So the goal of this webinar series is to show the value of big data, both from the technical and business perspectives, as well as touching some topics of interest for our community, such as lesson learned, best practices, innovation solution, societal debates, etc., etc. In these times of pandemic, especially SMEs and startups are struggling to survive, as you know. Today, precisely, we have the pleasure of having two speakers that are going to present ways and tips on how to face an investor, something that might help in the issue of getting additional funding for these particular companies. But before I give the floor to our speakers, allow me to say a few words about the logistic of our webinar. So some housekeeping before jumping into the webinar. Please, if you're interested in the topics related to big data analytics, go regularly to our webinar webpage shown at the bottom of the slide. So this bigdatavalue.eu. There is a menu where you can add access to the webinars, the past webinars and the future webinars, and you will find more information about upcoming webinars, as well as links to recordings or slides. As you know, many of us are working from home due to the COVID-19, so there might be some problems with Wi-Fi, etc., etc. So if something happens, please reconnect in a couple of minutes because we will resume as soon as possible. But most probably the connection will hold, so everything will be okay. If you have any questions to the speakers, please use the question chat that you have available. And at the end of the presentations, the speakers will take your questions in the Q&A session that is at the end. Right after the webinar, you will be also directed to a very brief survey with a couple of questions to give us feedback and recommendation for the future. Now I have a couple of questions in the form of a poll for you that I would like to ask you. So let me go to this particular poll. 1 second, I'm going to launch the first of the questions. You will see in a minute that the question is about the organizations you belong to. That could be an academic institution, a large industry, a startup or SME, or other. I know that you are voting so far. I will give you a few seconds. This is especially for our speakers to know the audience that they have. So please answer to this. I think more or less is already okay. So I'm going to close the poll. And so far, most of the people are from startups and SMEs, almost 70%. 22% are for large industry, and only 11% are from academic institutions. So most of the audience here is from startups. Let me send you a second poll, second and last, that I'm launching now as we speak. So it's basically about your interest in contacting with potential investors. And you have three options. One is if you're only interested in the topic, but you might be in the process now, or you are thinking about doing it in the future. So I give you again a few more seconds to answer. And then I will give the results to you and also to our speakers for them to know exactly the situation of our audience regarding to facing investors. Okay, I'm closing the poll now. So 50% are just interested in the topics, while 41% are now in the process of facing investors, which is interesting for our audience. And 9% are still thinking on how to do that. Okay, so that's the results of the poll. So let me go back then to the slides. 1 second. Okay, so thanks for answering these questions, and let me introduce our speakers today. You have both of them in the slide. So we have Tonny Velin from the company Answare, and Ángel Torrecillas, also from Murcia Venture Capital, and both of them are going to present the two different presentations. They are both together, so you will see both of them at the same time. So without further delay, let me hand over to Tonny, who is going to start the presentation. So Tonny, the floor is yours. I'm going to give you the presenter's rights as we speak. So you should have now the possibility of presenting. Tonny, the floor is yours.
Okay, then talk is about how to face an investor. So it's going to be divided in two parts. I'm going to talk about the pitch deck, and then Ángel will talk about what an investor is expecting from a startup when the startup is pitching or when the startup is willing to get some funding. And so I will start straight away. Okay. Okay, then how to present a pitch deck to potential investors and what an investor expects from you. Okay, first tip to highlight is that for an investor, what is important is not so much a product, but how to sell it to the market. So it's all based on the money. Okay. What is a pitch deck? A pitch deck is 10, 20 slides presentation about you, about your team, your product, your market, and so on. And basically it sells yourself. In 10, 20 slides, you've got to sell your overall vision, your idea, and you have to be careful to who this deck is going to be sent. Either you pitch it on stage, so you've got a demo day and you're in front of an audience, and then you've got to be careful not to include too much text because it has to be very visual. People in the audience don't like to read a lot of text on the stage, but they like to have some images, some videos, and this kind of stuff. On the other hand, if you want to send the pitch to an investor by email or whatever, then you have to be careful to include more information than when you pitch on stage. So the presentation has to be twofold. Think about when you're on stage or not. Okay. So the pitch deck is an intro to the company. It has to be simple. Simple is better. Don't overload the slides. I'm now talking about when you are on stage. Okay. And if you send by email, take into account that an investor take maximum 4 minutes to read your pitch deck. When they receive your mail, they've got only to spend 4 minutes on your pitch deck. So be careful. You've got to highlight the main messages, the keywords in your pitch. Okay. Something to take into account, and no investor will sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, to view pitch deck. Okay, because otherwise they will have to sign many NDAs every year, and so for them it's not possible. So you have to take it for you. They won't sign any NDA. Also, to keep in mind that ideas are just 6 ideas. What matters for an investor is your ability to execute your ideas. Okay. Also, very important, you will not be successful the first time, or the second time, or the third time. You need to pitch in front of many investors. It might be 100 or even more than 100. So don't be discouraged. Okay, this is the way to go. You have to be patient. You have to work on your pitch and more. And every time you pitch, you will learn more lessons learned from the comments from the reviewers, from the investors, and you will be able to improve your pitch deck for the next one you try. Okay, but it's impossible to get funding for the first pitch deck, and it's almost impossible. So the tips when you write a pitch or to present a pitch is to catch up the attention of the audience in the first minute. Okay, you have to prove why you are going to make the investor rich, because it's all about money. And no investor will give you money because they like you, because you are good looking, or because they like your team and they like your product. No, they will put money in you because they believe your team with your vision can grab some market opportunity. You can create companies that can scale, sizable company. Startup, difference between startup and SMEs, and the startups can scale, and you can get them return on their investment. Okay, this is what I are looking for you when you are talking about your speech. So here I put a standard structure for pitch deck. There are many examples on the internet. I will show you later on. But basically, you have got all these 12 to 13 bullets. Okay, we start with the cover. Then what is the problem? What is the solution you propose? Product demo. What is the market? What is the business model? This is important. This is how you are going to make money out of your product. What is your competition? And having the competition, what are your competitive advantages, or what can offer beyond the state of the art, let's say, to compare yourself with the competitors? What is the strategy to go to market? What is the team structure? The traction is also another key point. So what have you been achieving so far? You've got some key data to show to people. And then the fundraising information. What is your needs for investment? And always at the end, you've got to get a slide about thank you and your contact details. So I took some examples from original pitch decks from Airbnb, Facebook, and Uber. You can take them out from the link I give you here. So I will show for each bullet of the table of content, let's say example about how they made it and how they have been successful. So the cover, this is the first impression to give to the investors. Okay, so it has to impress at the very first time. The design is very important, so don't put only a line or two. Think about the design, because you are selling. It is the first sell you make is to catch up the eye of the investor. Okay, so you present your case, your problem, your solution. It's a critical part of the pitch because it captures the attention of investors. For the rest of the presentation, for the very first minute is really key. Example, for example, this is Uber. Look at the image behind and picture, and look at the sentence, next generation car service. So it speaks by itself. Okay, you understand basically at the very first moment what they try to sell you as a project idea. This is a slide, cover slide for Airbnb. So book rooms with local brothers and hotels. Also with one sentence, you explain what your idea is about. And look at the design. You are in a hotel room, and you basically understand at the very first moment what it is about. The problem, so where we are today, you need to really specify in very simple words, no complex wording, but very simple, what is the problem, okay? And you have to make this premise solid. So all what you say here has to be 100% verified before. So nobody can debate about what you are just arguing. Nobody can ask questions about your statement, okay? Because otherwise it will raise doubts for the rest of the presentation. And this is where you create empathy with investors. You have been checking out that this idea is valid because you have got some figures to prove it. For Airbnb, for example, what has been the slide for the problem is price is important concern for customer booking travel online. So price, hotels, leave you disconnected from the city and its culture. And no easy way exists to book a room with a local or become host. Okay. So those three premises clearly demonstrate why Airbnb, what they propose: price, hotels, and booking a room. As for Facebook, so the problem, it was 2004. It was the very first pitch deck from Facebook. Classes are being skipped. Work is ignored. Students are spending hours in front of the computer in utter fascination. The Facebook.com craze has swept through campus. And problem for Uber, what are the state of the cabs in 2008? So look at the design, two nice pictures on the left side and then supporting comments on the right side. And what is the problem? Taxi monopolies reduce quality of service. Again, with a lot of design on the slide, and very few statements that cannot be arguable. I mean, nobody can question those statements. The solution is you, who you are, your company, your product. So you have to here to specify, mention 3 or 4 functions of your product and how they address the problem we just talked about. Don't say the product is doing that. You have to say, I can do this with the product. Okay, so let's talk about the user. The user can do many things with your product. It's not the product does for you. Okay, so think about a user perspective. In this slide, you have to avoid technical sentences, technical wording, because you talk about people, you talk about users. Okay. For example, Airbnb solution, a web platform where users can rent out their space to host travel to. So save money when traveling, make money when hosting, share culture, local connection to the city. Very clear. Again, look at the design. It's very catchy, let's say, for investors. Its message is very, very clear. Facebook was, again, the first pitch deck. So what is Facebook? The solution. Okay, expanding online directory, connecting students. So there was a lot of text in this slide because at that time, I mean, there were the first pitches, and so people used to put a lot of text. Today, they have to do it again. They would put less text and more pictures. And user profile. What is the solution? What you can do with Facebook? You remember this guy, Sean Parker? If you've seen the movie, he was the guy who helped Mark Zuckerberg to take Facebook to stock exchange. And look at the information. You can see Sean Parker. What is interest? He was interested in women. This is the kind of information today you will never find on the internet, but at that time, yes. Uber. What is the solution proposed by Uber? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullets. There they specify everything. And how it works: one car service. You have to be a member before you use the service, not hail from street, and you have got a guaranteed picker. Okay. So it's very clear messages to express the solution. The product demo. So for the investors, if you are pitching on stage, it's a first glimpse of the product, because so far you have been talking, you have been showing slides. If you got a 90, less than 30 seconds, then it will be even more catchy than before. Okay. Investors are not going to go to your website and check by themselves. Okay, they've got very limited time, so you've got to provide them with information, the amount of time you have available for them. Okay. If you do your demo live, you risk demo crashing. This is the effect of the demo. So you have to stay safe and use video. Okay. And if you exchange information with investors via email, then the video is a must. Here, Airbnb search by city. Okay. There's a lot of pictures, so very clear. You can see here the prices, and you search by city. Then you review the hotels. Which one do you like, depending on the picture you are looking at. So it's also very visual. And then you book it. Okay, you've got again a nice picture, and you've got money and and the date where you're going to book it. So it's very, very, very clear. For Uber cabs, you have one-click request. So also very clear with a mobile phone, you can do everything. And here's some more pictures about how it works. So no technical wording, but just from the user, what you can do with Uber. Market size, extremely important for investors. You need to really spend a lot of time in analyzing what the market is about. Don't come and just guess what the figures are. You have got to come with figures you have checked before. Okay. So you have got two ways to do it: top down, sorry, and bottom up. And basically, the top down is you have got an overall market share and you estimate what you can do in the market, and the bottom up you start with a more detailed, defined analysis from the bottom, where you analyze your competitors and what the market is, and you can figure out what you can get out from the market yourself with your current strategy, with your current resources. Okay. A good tip here would be to have three scenarios: a worst case scenario, so realistic scenario, and a best case scenario, because of course you don't have 100% figures sure for what's going to happen with you and your product on the market. So you can do these three analyses. Okay. And there's an article about the best way to do a market analysis. So for Airbnb, for example, again, the usual 2 billion trips booked worldwide. That's market size. Budget online available market is 560 millions, and what you expect from it is 84 million for you for Airbnb from overall this market. And they've been validating with some other figures from Catalyst and Couchsurfing. Okay, so these figures are really straightforward, and nobody can argue that they are wrong. You have been checking, you have been doing your job before you present your pitch. For Facebook, look, they wanted to get to 200 member schools by 1st of September 2004. This is their intention, what they were, their market prospects. They have failed, of course, because I've been going to million and million. Okay, then they studied that there are 15 million college students in the United States, and they make some analysis about how Facebook would reach as many as possible of these students. And again, this is for Uber. This is a market for the 2 billion and 22% of revenues from this market. And the composition of the market for Uber was the very first pitch deck from them. So the market segments: business, airports, retail, non-airports, and so on. It was in 2007. Top down, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I said before, you start from what is the overall market, and then you try to figure out how you can make it from this overall market. Bottom up, this is a reverse process. Start at the bottom, and then you go up based on competitors analysis. It's a long way, but it's more realistic to have this bottom up approach. Some technical terms here. What is TAM? TAM is a total addressable market. So how much turnover our business opportunity represents, or the overall market worldwide. It's also interesting for investors. It gives an idea about the finances. Or there's so much markets, or big markets, so there are really possibilities to make it. The available market for you, so what you can serve yourself, okay, from this market, and the obtainable market, which is a realistic one. This is with your resources, what really you can get out from the market. It's also very important, this sum when you validate your business idea in front of investors. So this is realistic. The business model, the first really crucial part of the pitch, because it makes it or you break it. For example, you can just give a percentage. Airbnb decided to have 10% of each sale. Example, our BNB here, take 10% commission on each transaction, full stop. There's nothing else to say about it. Nothing behind it, no other calculation, only 10%. So basically what they were expecting at the end of every year is 200 million more revenues by 2011. So they had the market, 84 millions, $80 per night for 3 nights. So the average fee was $25, and then at the end of the year it was $200 million for them. Competition, something has to be very easy to understand. It was this grid comparison was made famous by Steve Jobs in his presentation. What you can demonstrate is on the top in the corner where nobody is, and so it's a really top-notch product. Think about the horizontal and vertical. Here it's how to use, easy to use, and the other way is not too smart and smart. Airbnb is another great comparison with the competitors. Okay, these axes are offline, online transaction, and then expensive, affordable. Competitive advantages. What makes you different? This is a magic that makes your product different from the others. Okay. Here you have got to elaborate on what you have been patenting, for example, or the technologies you have been developing that make your product unique. For Airbnb, competitive advantages is first to market for transaction-based temporary housing site, easy of use. Profile is very easy, with 3 clicks you get it. You've got one list of everything, design and brown. You know that now Airbnb is valued in billions of dollars on the stock exchange. And so also the cost incentive, so people who are renting can make also money. So it's also very attractive for people to rent their house. For Uber, so 1 click to book, members only, optimized fleet, so really nice cars, proven functioning car, fast response time, it works. Everybody has been trying Uber, it works everywhere, and so on. So yeah, but also geo-aware auto display, and the red driver service is really excellent. And also for Uber, luxury service on the run, and so on. Best end user experience possible, so killing sentences that make you different. The go-to market, so what is your strategy for growth? Here, what you want to do is to acquire mass audience. Okay. So you have to have a plan anyway to go to market, and you need to update this slide regularly, because we try and fail, because we try different marketing tactics, it won't work, so you have to try again. So what is really your strategy to go to market? And you need to get some ideas here about how you are going to reach the market. So for Airbnb, they were planning to attend events. Okay. They intended to make partnership and then to be together with the Craigslist. This were the plan to get the product adopted in the market. For Uber, marketing ideas, so slogans, about thinking about how to sell for the marketing strategy. For example, in New York City, Yellow Cab is the only recognized brand, so maybe doing another stuff for Uber. The team, this slide should be simple. Who are the founders and why are the right people to build the company? So you've got to get one guy, the CEO, with a seller, with investors, then the technical guy with a product development leader, and then the marketing guy. Don't talk about advisors here, only talk about the team. You need to talk 100% about people who are part of the company, not about other people. So to build up a powerful team, think about this. The team solution is inside the building. This is the one developing the product. And the team problem is the one who is getting outside the building to interview with users, customers, and get their specification for requirements. So what do they need? 2 or 3 people Again, the sales, development, marketing, no more than 2-3 people, because it helps you to communicate better. If you've got a team of 10, it's much more difficult to communicate. Also, in terms of money, you build less, you spend less, and you've got to get your burn rate under control, which means the money you get you spend every month. Less people you are, the better, because you can better control about when you've got to make viable things, for example, you've got not have money to go for the next month, so maybe you can reduce the scope of the requirements you have to develop for this month and to carry on your activities. Here the team for Airbnb, so 3 people, okay, user interface and public relationship, business development and developer. There were 3 guys who founded Airbnb. Fractions and milestones, another crucial part of your pitch. This slide, if you've got a really nice curve that demonstrates you've got sales, probably should go first, okay, because it will capture the attention of the audience. Okay. And if you don't have money, then you have got to talk about your growth. Who are your users on a monthly basis? How many users you have been able to capture? You have got to show something that catches the attention of the investors. Okay. If the investors tells you it's too early to invest, think about it, because at a certain time it might be worse to really stop pitching and then do this bootstrapping. So bootstrapping means you ask for friends, family, try to grow with your own money, or you try to really with your own resources, your own money, and then when you are ready, you pitch again. Okay, when you've got more traction. You've got to be careful with the press. Everybody talks about startup today. It seems to be something very easy to get money. It's not. So most of the companies, most of the startups, they get investment after they have first traction. So traction first, and then you ask for money, more money. Okay. With a prototype, it's very difficult to get some investment. So you need to have a team, solid team. You need also to have a solid tech guy who believes in the project, the one who's going to go for the stock, so for the shares of the company and not for the money for the salary. The press, for example, of the startup, so traction. This is the way Airbnb have been doing that. So they got some testimonials from people and from newspapers and so on. So these testimonials are very useful to help to sell your idea. It's one for users, complete success. It is easy to use and make money. That was years ago. Was the first testimonial for Airbnb. For Facebook, it was launched February 4th, 2004. And now what they say are on the 10th of April, after nearly a month and 10 days, 2 months, that we've been able to capture more schools. So it was in Harvard first, but then look, Harvard, Columbia, and so on in 2 months, and look at the level of the university. Okay, so that got something to show, something that demonstrates to investors that you have had traction with your product. It's a new addition. Addition is powerful, it's disturbing, is a Facebook. That was on the 25th of March by Delhi, Pennsylvania. This is traction. And so on. Alpha independent. For Uber, this is the way they went through over the months and so on when they started. And then they specify what they have done so far before pitching. Okay, so this is all the process I've been through. Fundraising, but we've got to be very careful with this information because sometimes it's private when you've got some fundraising from other investors. You've got to first ask for possibility to disclose the information. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. Airbnb, what they were looking for back in 2008, I think. We're looking for 12 months financing to reach 80,000 transactions for Airbnb. So we're looking for 500K to get at the end of the year 2 million of revenues. For first round, we're looking for 500K. Your friend can contact detail slide. Always say thank you. Include your contact detail. This is for the one from Facebook. Remember this guy was a guy who was fired by Facebook because he was a guy in charge of collecting the money. But at the end, he was fired. But he came, he sued Mark Zuckerberg, and then he was successful to get the money. But he was the first guy contact for Facebook. He was the one appearing on the pitch deck. Eduardo Sá. So I'm going to give the floor to my colleague Angel, who is going to talk to you about more about the perspective from the investor side.
Hello everyone. My name is Angel Torrecillas. I started in 2005 with creating a company, a technological company for delivering services, and we gave ad hoc software for our customers. And later on 2011, we started to work with a startup in order to bring them a technological platform to support the business model they are trying to be successful. So in this moment, in 2011, I started to try to give more offer to more added value to our customer, not only the technological stuff, not only the platform, but also the anything that the entrepreneur needs in the very beginning of the business. So one of the things obviously is money. So I started as a business angel. So the first step we made was just supporting with our money these startups. Later on, I added to a local business angel network here in Murcia, with this Murcia Bank. In 2015, almost 5 years ago, we create a pre-seed venture capital company. We are supporting very early stage startups here in Murcia. So with this slide, I would like to present what is the main characteristic in the profile of an investor. I have write down in order or important for my opinion. The first one is to be a logical process, to have a logical process in order to prepare the investment. To be commitment, I mean, it's just not only to invest one time. You have to have a long-term project, a long-term program in order to invest in different companies. To be disciplined, you have to research, and you have to think one thing. One guy told me once that our customers, I mean, as an investor, my customer is the startup. So imagine that you are running a business, just look for your customers. So you are running outside and search for customers. So for investors, that is the main thing that they have to do. I mean, they have to find new opportunities. They have to find new startup to invest. I mean, that is our customer. Another topic is flexibility. You have to have a plan with a logical program to invest, but you have also to be able to break the rules. I mean, not just only following always the same rules. maybe the time, maybe there is another topics that you have to take care in order to change your point of view. To be open-minded is also another important thing, because opportunities sometimes arise when venture capital or big companies in investment discard a startup, and maybe this is an opportunity. Know your limits. I mean, you have to administer, you have to manage your money, your fund, and this is a limit. And the most important one is to be patient. I mean, the investing is not for obtaining profit as soon as possible. So that is another thing that the investors should take care when they are attempting to make an investment. The second slide is what is the kind of investor? Well, I have also put in order of, let's say, the sequence in time when a startup look for funding. The first one is the full friends and family. They give you money when you are starting a new project, a new startup. The first one in the list are giving money, so it's debt. But later on, the type of investment change to equity. So this is another point that the startups should take care when they are looking for investment for money. If they want to have a debt or they want to have an equity. That is one important thing that they have to choose. After the friends and family, they can just go to bank or government agencies. Later on, they can look for a business angel. This step is important because normally business angels are in a network connecting different venture capital companies. So it's important to have as soon as possible a business angel in your company, because they can they are like an accelerator in order to looking for a bigger rounds and so on. And after that, there is accelerator and incubators. They also give you an equity. Family office is also at the same time it's also a choice. And the big one is venture capital companies and corporate investors. These two, I have to separate this because normally corporate investors are better than the venture capital. I mean, the venture capital is dedicated to different type of businesses, but corporate investors, they have like a gateway, like a door to access the market. And that is an important thing for a startup. Tony has said before, in order to prepare the pitch, in order to present the company to an investor, from the point of view of the investor, I have write down also in order of importance what is the main topics they are looking for. I mean, as investor, they are looking for good teams. Good teams, balanced teams, teams with the member of the team complement each other, and they have previous experience on the business they are facing or they are trying to create. And they are also in contact with the customer experience, with the customer pain that they are trying to make to find a solution. Another topic is the product. Normally, there is a different type of investor depending on the maturity of the product. Normally, they are looking for not just an MVP. They are looking for a more stable product that they can give some kind of metric. This metric we were talking about it later, But it's important to have a product, not only an idea. The third one is size of the market, of course, and also the valuation. This is also, the last one is also an important thing. You have to take care about when you're trying to give an evaluation of your startup to an investor, because sometimes if you are trying to evaluate too high, this is a showstopper for the investor, because they need to calculate what is, okay, I will try to put some money here, but later on, in order to have a X% of profit, what is the exit value of this? So if you're trying to evaluate too high, maybe you are putting your startup in a different position to enter in a later, let's say, stage. So you have to take care about the valuation. The key figures for investor when they trying to qualificate or trying to profile the startup. Obviously, the first one is gross profit. Another KPI is long-term value. Normally, this KPI is associated to customers, to users. So it's important to have users that can demonstrate that your product is valuable. If you don't have users, you cannot show up that your product is valuable. So one is long-time value. Another KPI is total the cost of acquisitions of the customer, monthly active user. User activation rate, the percentage from the user they are trying to use your solution, and finally the ones that became a customer of your solution. Month-on-month growth, and I have put in this slide the main ones for me is the burn rate, is how it's the speed you burn money in your cash. This is important, and also the runway is how many months you have left before closing down. This is another KPI that I normally check with the startup that I analyzed in order to invest. This is a very important one. So you have to be very careful when you show up these KPIs. Okay, so
we are almost finished. So how to find investors? Normally, investors not reply to mail, so you have to take care of your LinkedIn network. Try to grow inside your network. Check Angel List, which becomes very familiar today. It's a platform to link investors and startups. So I'll give you the link here. Also, when you send email to an investor, don't send PDF or PowerPoint. It's better you send a link to your presentation, to your deck, and because you can remove the access to the link at any time. Okay. And after you have been extending your LinkedIn, then you attend to events related to startup. I'll give you here a link to a project funded by the European Commission. This is H2020. It's called Innovate, a data-driven tool for supporting and improving the decision-making processes of investors for financing innovative SMEs. So please watch the video, watch the link, because maybe it will be of interest to you. This Innovate. I give you here some other links. Kawasaki, so it's got some nice templates of slides for you to do a pitch. You've got here all the pitch decks, 20 pitch decks that are free. The one on Facebook, Uber, and so on, they are in this link. And then there is another link to SlideFund, which is a company that helps you to pitch, because I've got some example of pitch decks. Some reading. You know the famous book about Alexander Osterwarder about how to create canvas. Okay, this startup owners manual I like very much. I encourage you very strongly to have a look at the book. It explains you before your pitch. It explains you about all the strategy to set up your startup and what you should do and not do. Eric Ries, a very famous book, Startup Way and the Lean Startup Methods. Everybody talks about those books. Eric Ries was a student of Steve Blank. He was attending his classes. And some other books, sorry, in Spanish, but you can find them, of course, in English. Some books that helps you to set up also your startup. And finally, I would like to catch your eye on the events that will take place in November, the first week of November. You can follow the event online. It's about the European Big Data Value Forum, and it's every year. It's organized by the project that found this support action, providing all these webinars, BDVe project. So please have a look at this edition for 2020. We have got here the links, how to register. Okay, and you can also even sponsor the event. There will be some topics dedicated to startups and SMEs. So I really encourage you to have a look at it and hopefully to register. Okay. So here are our contact details. So Thomas, I think we are finished. So if you want to take the lead.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Tony, for your presentations, Tony and Angel. We have a few questions from the audience that I will read for you aloud and give you the floor to answer to them. Well, the first one is not really a question. Is they are, let's say, asking if these slides and recording will be shared. Yeah, of course, they will be shared through our website, which is the one that I copied in the chat. But nevertheless, you will find the information later on. I can the website is the Big Data Value as a website where you will find a tab related to the webinars, and in there there will be this information, these slides, and this recording in the coming days. So it will be there. And then we have a couple of questions that are more or less similar. One from Miguel Cabrita and another one from Panayotis Papadatos that are related to the use of videos in a pitch deck. If this is something that you could also consider as a brief video as a supporting material for a pitch deck. This is a question, I think, for Tony.
Yeah, I think I talked about it in the product demo. You can have a video, 30 seconds maximum, that explains about your product. So it's something that is I would not say standard, but of course you can have a video. I think it's very useful for you to promote what is your product, but not only the pitch, but also you send by email on your web page. So I encourage you to spend some time on recording this video and to have it very visual.
Okay, I was only to add one thing. It's good for an investor to see that when you explain your product, not your pitch deck, because in the pitch you talk about the different kind of things like KPIs and so on. That's just only the product, to show up what is your product, to be supported in a video is good for investors, because they can see that the product is so far mature. I mean, it's not only a MVP.
Thank you both for this answer. There is another question from Benedetta Carlotti, and I think it's for both of you, because I think you mentioned a lot of points to be taken into account into the presentation, into the pitch. But in some cases, you know that pitches are supposed to be very short, maybe 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So I guess these tips are for presentation that you will share with the investors. But for actual spoken presentations. So what are your recommendations? Which points are the ones that are key to expose in these short pitches?
So I would say problem solution. What is a market? What is your business model? So those four, I think.
I would like us to add one thing in the presentation to start with a phrase to run up your business, like this is the Uber of insurance, or this is the Cabify of whatever you want. This is a short phrase that you should put in the beginning of the pitch, that for the audience to be prepared for something. It's like an alert that the upcoming slide we will show you how we represent the phrase that we already saw in the first slide. So it's my recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much. I think those are the two main questions that we have from the audience. I don't know, maybe there is another one. Was on second. Yeah, there's another one just coming in, which is how easy is to calculate the market if you don't know turnovers of your competitors. This is another question from Panayotis.
Well, I think the turnover of the competitors, you can find it through Google. You've got some studies. In Spain, it's something that is public. Yeah, in Spain, for example, it's public how much a company has as turnover. So it's information you can find online.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think there's no more questions. There is again that questions about where the slides will be shared. So allow me to share my screen. This is the website of Big Data Value, the one that you're seeing here, bigdatavalue.eu. And there is this section about webinars where you can see in the past webinars, you see that each of the past webinars have a link with more information to actually retrieve the slides and watching the different recordings. So here you have links to slides and to the different recordings. So in the coming days, there will be another tab here. Right now, this webinar is one of the current webinars, so you find it in the current webinars slide, but this will be moved in a couple of days time to these past webinars where you will find all the slides and the recording of this webinar. So this is the place where to go later. So all the links that Tony and Angel were showing will be shared. So you don't need to write it down. In any case, tomorrow you will receive an automatic email from the GoToWebinar tool with also the link to this particular web page. So you don't have to write it down, but it's good that you know this page, because in here we are advertising all our webinars, and you have even previous slides from a different talk from Tony if you're interested in this type of work related to SMEs, startups, and how to face investors. So there are another webinar from Tony a few months ago where you can find also some interesting slides. There is a final question right now from Ruben Rodriguez, who is asking, what are the most common mistakes to avoid in this type of pitches?
High valuation. That is the main mistake.
Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, I think that the more too many people have seen the themes like the social network and so on. They think that whenever they have an innovative idea or an innovative business model and so on, they only have MVP or something like that. they start to evaluate data from 1 million above, and that is a big mistake.
Okay, I understand. So thank you. I think there's no more question, and we pass a little bit our allocated time. So I would like to thank our two speakers from today for this great presentation. I think it's a good help for people trying to face investors, especially for writing these pitches and know exactly what are the key points to raise. And also, I would like to thank you, the audience, that have been here with us today, and the questions that I think are interesting for all of us. So thank you again. You know where to find the slides in the coming days. So I would like to also to remind you that new webinars will be coming in the future. So you are always welcome to register and to go to our webpage and try to find interesting things. So thank you very much. I'm closing right now. So thank you again, and bye-bye.
Bye.